All right. We have a special guest, everybody. You all know what that means.
Though I know I should be wary, still I venture someplace scary. Ghostly haunting, I turn loose. Beetlejuice! Beetlejuice! Beetlejuice!
Hey guys, what's going on? And we are here to help save the world, one Ken at a time. And I am joined by Ken. I apologize again for my tardiness, sir.
I didn't expect that intro.
Oh,
I didn't expect that at all.
oh. Well, we're off to a rocking start.
Yeah,
Life
that
is
was
full of
that was
new
great.
experiences. This is well, dude. I didn't even realize for some reason I thought I was subscribed to your channel, and then I'm like, I'm totally not subscribed to your channel. I feel like when we were kind of crossing valences about a year or so ago, I subscribed to some channels and mostly just viewed you from like other people's channels, and I'm like, oh, he actually has his own. Because I have people tell me the same thing. I have no idea your experience.
Yeah, I mean, I just go on here mainly just to talk with a lot of people, mainly drink beer or do some random crap. Like I think we met through through Laura Leia, I think.
That sounds about right, and that's why like about a week or so ago, after one of the streams that we were on, we were kind of chatting a little bit after, and that we kind of set it up for today, and that's why I had asked at the time. It's did you want a particular moniker? Because as has been said before, within these chats of the Internet of Stuff and Things, that oh memes. So what's this? One week you're interviewing a porn star, and the next a rock star. And that's why I was like, did you want a particular thing? 'Cause I think the community, as I kind of heard it, was the quote unquote scummer
Yeah.
community or something. I don't even necessarily sure what that means. It kind of just means like what you said, just hanging out and kind of like drinking beer and stuff.
Well, the origin of that, as I try and share this, the origin of that doesn't actually come from like our ragtag bunch of misfits. It actually stands for Society Can't Understand Me, and that's exactly what it is. We're just a bunch of misfits, just pretty much just drinking beer and then make like palling around, like let the boys be boys kind of thing, like make fun of each other and
It's basically just being at a pub but socially distancing.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's a lot safer too because there are certain people where people sometimes do. I don't need to mention any names or anything like that because it's everybody, myself included. We tend to once in a while just consume a bit too much, but once we do that, at least we're home and we're safe. Like for me, like if I ended up getting too tired and I ended up falling asleep, it would be either on my chair or my bed. Like all I have to do is just go like that, pretty
Right,
much.
right. It's like you don't necessarily have to worry about operating a motor vehicle or just simply getting yourself from one place home, which may involve a number of different transits and physical walking, which expose yourself to the elements as well as all of society. And quick shout out to Dave M. and Phil Tobin. I see you down there. Shout out to my patrons, Joe Franco and Dave M. This broadcast is helped made possible by viewers like you. Don't worry. We're going to start to kick up some content. We're gonna start to have some fun with this. I'm feeling that we got to level up, if you would. Kind of break the meta, not necessarily do the same old thing. As I'm rambling on, being extremely rude to my guest who is here, gracing us with his presence here. As far as my favorite meme, I also do like turtles. But so kind of like what got you into this greater sphere of the YouTubes and everything? Because like I know like, you're kind of like big on like YouTube and Instagram. It seems.
YouTube, I've been watching since I want to say 2012. Um, Pretty much when I was about 22, 21, 22, I got my first apartment and I wasn't making much money, and it was a big question between me and my other half at the time whether or not we should get cable. Of course, she wanted to, so we just ended up getting anyways. But I wasn't really a big fan of it because I didn't want to pay for the bill. So I just resorted to YouTube, and then once in a while I would watch TV with her. But YouTube was like, it always came to me as like a free version of TV, but it's more creative because people had, at least at the time, more freely, uh, more freedom to create instead of having like some sort of corporation make some TV eps or TV show or something like that. Not to say that they're bad or anything like that, but it gives people like their individual ideas of what to do. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of them were kind of questionable, to say the least. But there are some out there that were really good. You know, you look at your Badlands Chug, Badlands Chugs. He was popular back then, and he stopped for a while. Then he recently got back. That's how Matt Stoney became popular. It was again YouTube, and you still, those two are still going at it. So it's like that, and it's interesting to watch people evolve from back then to like now.
Oh, I
So
hear you, man. No, dude, I hear you. It's just you see how people kind of grow over a period of time because there are a number of content creators and stuff. I think that apparently the first video on YouTube was technically of a giraffe at a zoo. It was like 14 seconds or something. But quick side note: XX Mrs. Memes at one point did not believe in giraffes because in the first grade, a young boy told her giraffes weren't real, and she believed him.
oh my goodness.
Okay, I'm gonna stop bashing on XX. This means I'm very cruel, but just side trivia there, folks. But as you kind of look, because like my first iteration, I started doing YouTube back in like 2009, just because I was kind of doing like a little fitness vlog. It's like I kind of not really taking care of myself all that great, and had played a whole lot of World of Warcraft for a while, and as I got into raiding and everything, that basically took up my life there. And basically, I put on a bunch of weight. And then when I stopped playing WoW, I'm like, I should go back to the gym. So I went back to the gym. I dropped like 50 pounds in 90 days, and I just happened to keep track of it like a video blog. And I'm like, this is for me. It's going to be stored over here so I can keep track of my progress. And then all of a sudden I noticed this weird thing. I'm like, people are subscribing to me? What the heck is this? I kept on getting all these emails. And this is before like Google bought YouTube and everything. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And then I did the whole corporate gig and everything. It's like, you're supposed to go to college. You're supposed to go to work for a big reputable company and everything. And then you live your life, yada, yada, white picket fence, blah, 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 2.2. The standard pitch that you get and everything. And I did that for a while, and I'm like, this is draining my soul. I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of it. And right around 2009, because I remember even back in the day, like I got an invitation to the YouTube partner program after Google bought them. And it's like, oh, look, we have a way to actually make money off of this. We're going to take like the number one picture for like ads on the internet, and we're going to put them on video. Congratulations, we made TV on the internet. And I'm like, oh, well, that. But I was doing my corporate thing, and I'm like, okay, let me get back into it. I forgot my password, and they had that whole thing. And long story short, over like a decade, I finally remember my password. But I came into existence in this current form, and it's cool. I like my yellow shirt and everything and dragons. So this is people kind of grow. Some people change. People can change. They just really have to want to change, which isn't always the case. So let me ask you this, Ken. What changes have you experienced in your life that have helped you kind of just grow into who you are right now?
Oh, right now. Well, my first major breakup kind of put myself into a new perspective because we were together for almost like 10 years.
Oh,
Close to 10 years. And it sucked at first, but then I started to realize like over time, like as soon as I got into the acceptance stage, as people would call it, I was like, you know what? It all boils down to like, her and I are great people individually. We just grew apart, and that's totally okay, and that happens all the time. And there's a lot worse situations to where it could have been a bigger situation. And then at this point, I'm happy for her and where she's at, and I'm pretty sure she's happy where I'm at too. So, it's kind of like maturing instead of trying to force something that into working when you know it's not going to, because it became more of like a job than it was a relationship, unfortunately. So it was more of a mutual decision for the breakup, but we were just like really mad at each other. But then as soon as that happened, then we grew apart. I still keep in contact with her two brothers, but it's a lot better because I have a lot more of a positive attitude uh as of today. But of course, when the breakup first was into fruition, I was just like, what the hell do I do now? Because I was always used to having someone by my side. But then I woke up one day and I thought to myself, like, okay, so wait a minute. So why don't you just focus on yourself instead of focusing on whatever everyone else is doing? Because you're always going to have your own opinion, but you don't need to waste it all the time on people who don't want to listen. So that's kind of like my iteration for Facebook. A lot of people post their personal problems on Facebook, and like there's a lot of people who don't want to hear that. So a couple might, but you're kind of forcing your drama onto everybody else's uh, world who wants to read Facebook and to just post a meme or post an article or something like that. They don't really want to hear everyone else's drama. Um,
Wait, people would post drama on the internet? That would
exactly.
never happen.
And that's kind of like where I started to realize and kind of like grew up a little bit more into that aspect and thinking like, you know what, it's life goes on, man. That's just how I feel, and then that's kind of when I started to like do my own thing, and then focusing on more on my professional life, focusing more on my personal life, uh, talking with family, and then of course being on here, being an idiot, but it's fun. It's all in good fun.
Well, that's the thing. People use different platforms and localities on the internet for different purposes, and this is something I've been thinking about a fair bit recently because it's like you'll see somebody and they'll be like, "Oh my God, oh well, how could you say that?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's not nice, and if you're treating this as a very serious context, maybe that's not appropriate." But I'm like, I'm looking for perspective of the folks that were there. And it's kind of like you were describing earlier, man. It's like if it's almost kind of like a pub like atmosphere, it's like I've heard a lot of really terrible things in pubs, man. That's the thing. It's just kind of like human nature blowing off steam, talking hyperbolically about things, and just kind of like that's the thing. When all of a sudden I hear folks like freaking out about different things, it's like, oh, that's not nice. I mean, do I approve of that? No, no. Would I discourage that? Yes, yes. But I'm
Yeah.
like, I've heard worse. I'm like, you really haven't? I mean, maybe you've led a very sheltered life. I mean, I know I have, but it's like some of these things that people are going harumph about. I'm just like, really? Really? Are you saying that because you really care that much, or you just don't like this person and you're using that as an excuse? And I do think that kind of happens a lot.
When people start drama, there's a good chance that they're not telling their whole thought. Like they're hiding something, whether it be jealousy or maybe they did something wrong and try to use anger as a some sort of shield mentality
Wait,
and just like
people
protecting themselves.
people might project.
Yes, exactly. I've noticed that a while ago too, back when I was working at a mom and pop shop, uh, which was actually a bar and grill. It was just a family-owned bar and grill. Rough, rough area, but you'd get a lot of characters come in as per se. I was the bus boy, which in that case, in that particular place, I was doing everything except for cooking and pouring drinks. I was like the one who was like restocking the fridge and doing everything under the sun, helping cleaning out tables, and then I would get tipped a little bit. But more or less, it was a fun job because like they would let me occasionally help out like serving drinks, but it would be just beer because I was never certified. But you would meet a lot of like different people. Of course, I'm not gonna say any names because it's very taboo to go to a bar and start bringing out in public what other people are doing at a bar, unless if it's like a party and they agree to have like a picture taken, and it's just
Right.
they
It's
agree to.
basically there is consent. There is implied
Yeah,
consent via it's like here's a photo. If there's a photo, I might show somebody, and I'm probably going to tell a story about it.
yeah. There was this one kid who ended up working there for a little under a month. I don't know why they hired him. They must have saw something. I don't know. But his first week, he decided to bring out his phone, go on some sort of platform where I think it was like Snapchat or something like that. And he would just like record himself like behind the bar, and like he'd be showing the customers within the camera. And I remember him just getting yelled at so bad. And he was like, "Well, it's Snapchat. It's gonna delete anyways." And the owner was just like, "I don't even fucking know what Snapchat is. All I know is that you're recording people. And if I ever see you do it again, you're out."
So at this point, I must bring up rule 2 of the internet. The internet is forever.
Are we memeing ourselves into oblivion?
Yes.
Continue, sir.
Yep. Yeah. There's probably a lot of stuff, maybe pictures of that people have shared or saved that I've done, but I don't really care. That's just my personality. It's not like it's going to get me in trouble with anything or whatever.
Well, that's
So-
one of that's one of the other reasons I kind of wanted to have you on, just because, well, maybe it's a bit too much kumbaya for some folks. I realize rule 14 of the internet, everyone loves a good dumpster fire, but it's just, you also strike me as a person that, oh my God, somebody shares a picture or something about something that happened. You don't strike me as the type of person that's like, oh my God, you just kind of just do what you do, and you're like, well, you could have just asked me about it. It's like you're not trying to necessarily hide all these things and stuff like that, because it's, I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. There could be a closet full of very horrific things. I don't know. Am I barking out the wrong tree, or am I kind of just?
Well, a lot of people say you look like Charlie Manson, so I mean, maybe. I'm kidding, but no, I don't really hide anything. I just don't really talk much unless if someone asks me a question, and then I'm like, oh well, yeah, this is that, or this is that. It's a laid back attitude, and I don't really I don't give a fuck. So
It's a good mentality for the internet. I think a lot of what we're kind of seeing right now is, have you been on the internet for a while?
about 5 years, off and on.
Okay. Now, when I say on the internet, I'm not necessarily talking publicly, I'm talking about like using the internet. Is it something that you kind of grew up with, or?
Oh yeah. I was using the internet during the LimeWire Kazaa days, and then using AOL dial-up.
Oh yeah.
When I was in middle school. That was around.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, forever burnt into the back of my skull. Oh, triggers
The
me.
first major thing that I got into was like some like sticker collection on CartoonNetwork.com, where you just like collect different images and you like play games, like little mini games, to try and get points to be able to afford it. I don't remember exactly how it works, but that was like my first major thing, and then Yahoo Chat, that going into chat rooms and talking to people.
Ooh, I remember the old AOL chat rooms and stuff from back in the day. I remember doing some role playing games and stuff back then. It's like you do like /D20. I'm like, whoa, dude. It's like, holy crap! I think I did that before I ever played Dungeons and Dragons. Now that I think about it, whoa.
And then also there's MySpace too. When I was one of the kids who learned like uh coding for the background. And now these days I don't even know what it's called, and I don't know anything about how to do it. Like even if I looked at a sheet, I couldn't remember a damn thing. But back then I was in high school, like always changing my background, using like different websites to create something new and then posting it in the background.
Oh, so you were one of
HTML
those
coding?
people. You know how to write a script that would do something.
Yeah, I used to, but then I started drinking when I was 22. So then like I just didn't get into it as much. Like I still play video games and stuff like that, sure, but as you can tell, but yeah, it's just something that I kind of like grew out of and I just kind of forgot. So
I think it's one of those things. Once you learn some of the structures, you might not know or remember how to do it, but if you used a very minimal amount of effort to actually kind of re-up yourself, it's like, okay, this starts clicking again and again. Because like I remember thinking it was cool back in the day when it's like, oh look, if I hold down the Alt key and use the numeric pad, I can make all these cool different little symbols and stuff and make myself seem like a fancy wizard.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, it always impressed my mom that when I was doing that, she was like, "What the hell are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm making my MySpace background," and she was like, "How are you doing that with like numbers and letters and spaces and everything like that?" And I'm like, "Mom, I can't explain it to you. I
Just
don't
be like,
know."
Mom, I'm a digital wizard. Because especially on the internet,
it doesn't matter who we are. What matters is our plan.
Precisely.
I love that movie.
It was such a great movie.
Yeah.
I was banned for one Halloween.
Really?
I went to PAX 2013 as Bane. I had been to the gym for a while at that point. I think I made a decent Bane, but this is the thing, man. I look at all the stuff that's going on. It's like the early age of the internet. We experienced that kind of growing up. That was kind of normalized for our personal experience and a lot of folks within our generation. Now we have a lot of folks that are coming up in the world that they're either new to the internet because maybe they're getting around the retirement generation. They're trying to do Facebook and some of these platforms to kind of interact with people, family members that topics of interest to them. But we also are starting to run into the whole issue of there are literally kids growing up knowing nothing but the internet. And not just the internet, but social media. Like literally somebody that's 18 years old now, they pretty much decent chance in a lot of places they've grown up knowing what the internet is. And as they start to pay attention, because what Facebook was like 2006 2007 or something, so literally as they're starting to process the world, it's like social media. And so their perspective might be, well, social media is life, because for a lot of folks it is their livelihoods. It literally is their source of income, the way that they make a living in the world. But if we kind of grew up just being like, we're digital script wizards and stuff, playing like Utopia, Ultima Online, all that jazz and that stuff there, the sticker games on Cartoon Network, just doing all these different little things, as well as seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly of the internet, we have perspective and framework. We kind of still remember, I think, what it's like to go outside and play with other human beings. But if you have kids that are growing up just knowing nothing like that, it's like, that might explain a lot. What say you, sir?
Well, I'm not gonna have any kids. First off, I don't think. Uh, I don't. I don't have any plans for that. But I do see like a lot of other kids, especially when I'm out in public. Some of them are very quiet. Like I remember I was a little bit quiet, but my younger brother, man, he'd be yelling, and screaming when you turn 12, and he'd be like, I want this, I want that, and me, I was just like quiet and kept to myself pretty much. But I don't really see kids like getting upset over anything because maybe it's because they're so invested into stuff like Facebook or all the video games that are coming out. Um, it's a good thing they're not going outside right now for obvious reasons. But I think that it's unhealthy, personally, for them to constantly do one thing. They should be able to find a balance, especially when you're a young teenager. Like, I'm not saying go out to parties and stuff like that. That's completely up to them. But I am saying like go out see a movie once in a while with your friends and just go out and be in public because yeah, the public in general is kind of on the rocky side, so to speak, but at least they will have the experience and knowledge to uh apply that for once they start getting a job or something like that, so they don't lose their temper when some asshole comes in. Say they work in retail, and some asshole comes in and gives them a bad time. It's either that they're gonna like quit the job and just like be unmotivated, or they're going to accept the fact like, yeah, people are dicks. So I kind of expected that. You can't just rely on technology alone in order to survive. Maybe you can in the future. I don't know, but I personally don't think that's the right way to live. I will always still go out whenever I can, just to at least go walk around, you know, or go to the store, or go to the beer store and find something new and try that out, and then come back home and then have one.
You
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 know,
mean experience life as we
Y-
know it on this beautiful planet Earth that as far as we can view via our technology, we're kind of the only ones in this universe that we can tell?
oh
I
yeah,
don't know. Sounds like we're kind of lucky if that was the case. But
I,
it's I hear you, man. Sorry to cut you off, but I'm just like
mm,
there's there's far too much hate in this world. It's like very often, yes, people have absolutely rough times. I've been extraordinarily blessed, dare I say, privileged. But I also need to bring up the sheer fact that some of us are dicks. I mean, Ken, like, it's literally my middle name. No, no,
yeah,
I mean it. It is. Hey, I
yeah.
was born a dick. I'm the son of a dick. Out of context, that might sound a little weird or strange or
Well,
what do I
I
do?
don't
What do
know
I
how
do?
else.
낮에는 따사로운 인간적인 여자 커피 한 잔에 여유를 아는 품격 있는 여자
When in doubt, squirrel.
Well, I don't know how else we would be perceived aside from being a son of a dick. Technically, I guess.
It's well.
See,
So on a yes, on a lighter note, there. How do we save the world, Ken?
don't we kind of just focus again like on yourself, and then just like kind of be the change you want to see instead of like trying to change everything, because one person can't do that. You have to be able to I guess kind of inspire and like be the person that everyone else wants to be around, and then vice versa, be around people that you want to be around and learn from them, and then like take bits of what you like about that person and then apply it to yourself, and then say, hey, maybe I can try doing that too, and at least give it a shot. um there are far too many people who just they have like this negative concept of my way or the highway, you know. uh Me personally, I always like to learn a little bit. Like, yeah, I'm set in my ways in some aspects, but I'm always open to say, hey, this person does this and I don't agree with it, but you know what, maybe I'll give it a shot, you know.
I mean, that's very open-minded of you. It just kind of makes me think that I remember being that way. I remember being like that, where it's like, wait a second, this is so clear in my mind. I am so confident of myself, and this person believes something different. Like, how could that be the case? And trying to reconcile that in my mind, it was like difficult. And I realized it's like, oh well, we're all more similar than we are different, but we do each have our own unique life experience. I personally think most folks are good people. I could be wrong
Yeah.
about that, but I believe most folks are good people. But just because you're a good person, it doesn't mean you don't do stupid shit. I do that
Oh,
stuff
everyone does.
I do it freaking every day, man.
Yeah,
But if you combine that with the fact that folks tend to act in their own self-interest, that that explains a lot, right?
of course. I
So I
mean,
just gone.
there are like people who some people are just like, maybe you're drinking too much. I'm like, well, I can tell if my body's like acting up, then yes, that would be me drinking too much. But um I can tell when my body is healthy, or when it's just not acting right, and then I know enough about nutrition to kind of like change my diet up a little bit. And if I'm just like tired and groggy all the time, then yeah, I will slow down on beer drinking, because beer drinking it does make you tired, obviously. So, of course, I know that, and I've had enough experience to know that it's not like I don't do anything with myself. I work full time, and I'm self dependent. So, and none,
You're self-powered.
yeah. So, I mean, where was I going with that? So I
That's a
mean,
good question. I do that all the time. I usually just keep on rambling on and or play something like this.
yeah.
See?
I mean,
Okay,
so, but I mean, like I was saying, because I rely on my body a lot. That's like 100% where my my trade skill, I'll say, comes from. I have to rely on being healthy, and I have to rely on at least stretching and being in decent shape. I don't have to be ripped or anything. I kind of am, but I'm not. I'm a little bit above average, and that's pretty much it. You're a lot more leaner than I am these days, but at the same
yeah,
time, I'm still able to run and stuff like that if I need to, or um, lift heavy objects at work or if I have to. And if I completely give up on my body and just like did nothing but this and it only had this and like maybe like fast food all the time or something like that, then yes, that would be considered an unhealthy diet. And then that case, I would say that I'd be drinking too much, but
well, that's the thing. It's kind of like Socrates always said, like everything in balance, body, blood, and bile. It's like you drink a lot of beer. Beer, it's liquid bread. Is it necessarily good for you? I am not a doctor, nor Weird Al Yankovic, but I like beer. And the thing is, yeah, like you said, if you were just basically just drinking like nothing but beer and a crap diet, and that's all you're doing for perpetuity, probably not going to go all that great for you, man. However, the
no,
sheer fact that you said basically you're walking all over the place, you can actually go for like a run, a jog, or something. Plus, you're actually lifting things up and putting them down. It's like I happen to work within a similar industry as well, and I was new to this industry, and even I had kind of started doing some of my working on stuff to kind of get into shape for the job. But even at the end of like some of like those first days, man, it's like, oh my god, like I feel like I'm gonna die.
yeah,
It's just like you're so tired because you're lifting things up. There can be at awkward angles and everything, and you're doing that constantly. So now, like, I'll grab like a case of rice or something. Before it's like this ain't a light case or anything, but now it's just like I'm doing it, and I can think back like not quite a year ago now, but just like 6, 7, 8 months, and it's like doing this same thing was probably a hell of a lot more of an effort. But you start to become acclimated to it, just because like that's just humanity itself. You were talking about that from almost a mimetic perspective, in that you see somebody that does something, you're like, oh, it's kind of inspiring there. It's like maybe there are certain parts of them that I could try to do something similar to that, even though I happen to be my own person. And it's just that ability to integrate while not necessarily idolatry,
오빤 강남 스타일 강남 스타일 오빤 강남 스타일
idolatry.
adultery.
There we
you
go. There we go. That was the word I was looking for there. But you kind of get my gist. What I'm saying is like you can incorporate things while not necessarily being like, oh my god, I am super fanboy.
Right. Yeah.
How go on?
No, you're okay. You can go. I kind of just.
So no, dude. I hear you. Well, that's why I think everything in balance is kind of a good thing, because I've also experienced in my life where I've made extremely poor decisions, and I'm pretty sure the only reason I'm still alive is probably because I had that some of that balance. While I did plenty of stupid things, I also maintained at points in my life a certain level of physical fitness, going to the gym, getting cardio and everything. And had I not had that, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, and when you said that whole, if you ain't feeling that great, you realize I'm going to modify my diet. I'm probably going to drink less beer. Like whether this is sad or not, I think the last book I actually read was The Zone Diet, which the general takeaway for the book is you're literally just one meal away from like helping your body like do better at what it's doing.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know. Have you had any experiences like that? Like when you actually change your diet, have you noticed that you seem to get some more energy? Or
There are times that not recently because I don't drink as heavily as I used to. But when I was drinking pretty heavily, that was when I was a cook and I was like getting all this free food and so I would pair it with beer and stuff like that because that was part of my job to learn that. And then I started using that as excuse to be like, okay, well, I'm gonna drink this, and then I had too much fun with it, and there would be days I would wake up and I'm just like tired, groggy, out of shape, can't even walk a mile, without sweating. So back then, there were times I would just like drop alcohol consumption completely for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then after the first week, you feel great, you know. For me personally, after 2 weeks, I'm just thinking, you know what? If I stop for 2 weeks, there's nothing wrong with like going back to it and having a beer, but like this is kind of like a form of self-discipline to like, hey, don't get like that anymore. And this is why, because you're going to be a lot happier if you don't rely on it so much.
well, that's the thing. It's like if you're utilizing it as a tool, it's like I've had a long day at work. I'm going to have a beer or two. I'm going to chat with some friends and go about the rest of my day, do the things that I need to do, and be a productive human being in a decent way as I can be. Now, that's fine. I often try to do similar things myself, and then very often I get sucked up into vices. It's like, let me do this. All right, a little turns into a little bit more. I think they did a song about that. I think it was Aerosmith. Guns N' Roses, maybe. I don't know. They kind of blend together there, but how and you notice these changes and like see for me it's like I happen to be addicted to World of Warcraft at one point. Server first level 80 DK for the win. But what I did is like the first time I quit, I'm just like, I'm not going to uninstall the game. Or maybe all I know is I left the icon on the desktop so I could see it. So I knew I could log in and then just literally force myself to no memes. No. And then I just got like a new computer and everything and then relapsed once or twice, but those are different stories. But what do you use as motivation for your personal self-discipline?
Woman, actually. Like I take not too much pride. Like I would like to think that I'm a okay person like overall, but I feel like, and I was raised by this, and this is what my mother taught me. You have to be presentable, and you have to be able to attract a woman, and you have to be able to. And the first thing to do, and it sounds shallow, but it's really not, because no girl out there, from what I want to believe in, maybe I'm wrong, wants to date a bum. So, and I saw a perspective in that, and then it's like, if no one wants to be around me, chances are I'm doing something wrong, and that's not right, because like we as a society should be working together as a team, whether you're at work or whether you have roommates, or whether you're a family based man. You care about your brother, sister, parents, or kids. Um, you have to be able to, man or woman, doesn't matter the gender, and doesn't matter about anything like that. You have to be able to have the ability to deliver and be the person and contribute to other people that you care about. Because if I had it my way, maybe for like a year or so, I would just like do nothing, be a total slob, and just beer and fast food all day. But no, that's not the right way. So it's just like based on my moral code to not be like that.
Did you ever watch the movie Dragonheart?
I don't think I did. I may have.
Just because within the movie, this actually doesn't really have to do necessarily with dragons, even though I really like dragons. But there is what's called the old code in there. The old code Dragonheart. Boom. Oh, Google such a. Okay. Now it's no. Too many things. Oh my God, it's in such a weird font. But here's what we'll do. We'll share this. We'll get a little. Oh, they've updated StreamYards. This is wonderful. So we'll go over here. I'll go over the old code. All right. So basically, what it is hold on. All right. A knight is sworn to valor. His heart knows only virtue. Oh, it actually helps if I share. No, I am sharing. Okay. Noob. His blade defends the helpless. His might upholds the weak. His word speaks only truth. His wrath undoes the wicked. The right can never die. Okay. Well, at least that middle part is the part that I actually remember and was spoken within the movie itself. But that's kind of like where my mind went to. And I just love the sheer fact that, dude, we got the internet right now. We're talking, dude, I have no idea where the heck in the world you are. All I know is you're supposed to be something that's about Central Time or 2 or 3. No, 3 hours different than me. I'm East Coast. You happen to be West Coast, even though I'm on the left and you're on the right in this current layout. It's okay. It's okay. It's the internet. It makes sense, people. But the sheer fact that we can do this right now via service, there's all these new things. Dude, if you went back like 20 or 30 years, if I want to talk to you, I would need to know your number, call your house, call like a landline or something like that, and ask, hi, is Ken available? Is he home? Not where you at, but are you home? And that's just a completely different dynamic for where folks are now. It's like, dude, I could be in Hong Kong, I could be in Singapore, I could be in freaking Moscow right now. And as far as you know from this background and potentially a VPN, I could be anywhere, man. It's kind of like being the roaming gnome. And you know what? If you don't happen to have gnomes, then squirrels work just as well. But what I'm trying to like point out here is, dude, we have all this technology. We have the ability to do so many things, and we're going completely crazy. Like, I don't know. What do you think's going on? Why do you think folks are going nutty bananas? I realize we've had elections and we have social media, all these sites. It always seems like doom and gloom. And I remember before we kind of went live here, I was telling you, like, my escape is I'm just going to listen to videos about like math and physics because I don't really understand them, but it's my escape from like the world that is 2020 and 2021. But what do you think's driving all this kind of nutty bananas stuff that we're seeing?
Media.
Can't
So the
disagree
media
with
has a very keen way in. Like I understand like news and stuff like that, and people want to hear what's going on. The problem is that a lot of people focus on it way too much. Like I hear and read about certain things that happen, but I don't really focus on it. I just become self-aware, and then I focus on other things that make me happy. There's always going to be people who would come to me, and I understand this, who talk about like, oh, did you hear what happened? Like, there's this car accident, or there's something happened in like I don't know what Texas, like all this crap that happened in Texas that I hear about. I'm like, well, that sucks, but why are you telling me? Like, can you say something positive? And I think people like to focus on all the tragic stuff that happens a lot, almost too much, and they don't focus on the positive enough. The people who I know, like in my personal life, and I'm surrounded with, we joke around a lot. It's what you get here is pretty much who I am outside of YouTube. There's no BS, no character aside from the name creation. Which, as a side note, that Ken was short for Canuck. When I was being a nerd playing a game called Perfect World back in 2010, but I ended up shortening it to Ken because of that. It's just not who I am anymore. But that's But anyway, continuing on. There's a lot of people who are just like, "Oh my God, this happened. There, the world is so crazy," and then like they keep thinking about it over and over again instead of like saying, "Oh, hey, did you hear about this?" You know, like apparently they're doing this now, or something like that. Something that's like more interesting, instead of hearing something that would make me go, "Wow, that sucks." Now I'm kind of sad. You know.
It's the I I think some and now I think it's very often kind of been the whole mimetic of, at least as far as news and media goes, is if it bleeds, it leads. Basically, if there is something horrific that happens, like a terrible accident or something like that, it's like, yeah, it's like, well, we should probably know about some of these things. Why? Well, so we can make sure that it doesn't happen again, or at least do all the most logical things that we can to help prevent tragedy. That makes sense to me. But dude, I totally resemble that remark that you had right there. And it is one of the reasons, and apologies to everybody, one of the contributing factors of how I kind of just disappeared for a little while is just the sheer fact that, okay, I was inundated with this. Like, I'd be like listening to like every single Tim Pool video and everything, and I'll listen to it. I'll be like, okay, I see an over-the-top hyperbolic headline with your standard insert full capital words here, so it's not complete capital text, but certain words there that are initiating you to say, it's like, these people did bad thing or something like that. And whether it's left, right, up, down, center, whatever the heck angle you want to come from, you see these same things happening. And I'm like, oh, okay, so how is this different than, it's like, I happen to be a Patriots fan because, well, I happen to be a masshole born and raised. I'm not gonna lie, Tom Brady is GOAT. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the sheer fact is, I realize that's a completely tribalistic thing and everything, but that's something that we grew up with. Now, if you were to apply that to politics, it's like, all right, you're on my side. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. If you're on the other side, I'm going to be as uncharitable as possible, even if it's the same situation. And I'm like, people aren't really like that. Then I'm like, oh, I am kind of like that. And if we are all more similar than we are different, maybe other people like that too, and that kind of seems to be going on. And just kind of like taking a step back, and I'll give you a quick example. As much as, don't get me wrong, I like Tim Pool, but the last video I saw was something about Dems call for potentially executing Republicans because of blah blah blah. Now, I can pretty much almost guarantee you, and I haven't even watched the video. I haven't watched a Tim Pool video for like 10 days, and God, I'm feeling so much better about myself. But the sheer, no, dude, it's like I'm removing myself from so much of negative media. It's like, okay, I'm learning about great things going on in the world. It's like, it's just so much more uplifting, man, because like you said, if you focus on it, it's like universal truth number 6. Our minds tend towards the worst place. And I look at that and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, if I focus on that, it's going to bother me. But without even watching that video, I'm like, the title, if you extrapolate it in some way, you could say he's not lying. Is it over the top and sensational? Yes. And I see even someone like David Pakman, a dude on the left that's actually here from the greater Boston area. He's like, yes, I use hyperbolic things because, well, this is the platform of YouTube. This is how we do things here. And he fully admits to that. But
Yeah.
I hear about that video and I'm like, okay, what I assumed happened is there was somebody that may be a Democrat that probably said something extemporaneously about people that may have been involved in certain, I don't know, riots or something, that maybe they should potentially face charges of treason or something. So, of course, if you say that causally, somebody can make the title, Democrats call for execution of Republicans. And you can generate that headline, and under freedom of speech, you can totally do that. But if you're within the greater culture war and you know that the other side is absolutely evil, you're like, oh my God, they're coming for us. We need to stock up on all our supplies right now. It's going to be an absolute war where everything's going to go down. Why?
No one cared who I was till I put on the mask.
Because we can go on the internet and say crazy things. That's
Oh yeah.
that was a bit of my rant right there. But I agree with you, man. I agree with you. And let me ask you this: do you think things would be different? Now, we are trying to save the world here because that's part of the title of the stream. So we got to try to do the whole Aesop's Fables things and bring things right around as we're winding down here because we're coming up on an hour real quick. But
Oh yeah.
do you think if there was an option, because you know how like whether it's YouTube or Twitter, I know you don't use Twitter, but within some of these platforms, if there was like an option to be like, I don't want to see negative things, like if there was an easily accessible thing where it's like remove negative content, do you think that would change things?
Oh, that'd be
Or
hard
just
to
like
do.
I like filter out negative posts, videos, this, that, or the other thing.
That'd be hard to do because it would have to be more specified than that because everyone has a different perspective of what's negative and what's not. People who like to focus on politics and have their own ideas and stuff like that. Me, I don't do that. I think politics is just a bunch of suits and ties and just a lot of crazy different crap that happens or doesn't happen, and then whatever. But some people have a different perspective, and then I can't say whether that's right or wrong. So it'd be a lot more complicated to filter something like that. Me personally, if I saw a channel that was like posted on, like if I open up YouTube and it has like all these advertisements and stuff like that, or headline news and stuff like that, if I had the choice to, and I think I do, I would hide that channel and I would just keep doing that over and over again. But for someone who would be like stuck up or whatever, and they see something like uh the V bar for some reason, and they're like, "Oh, those fucking rapscallions," then they could do that too because they think it's negative when I think it's a positive thing. So it's all in perspective. But if there's like there's not like I don't know if there's going to be like a one hit button, but maybe if what they should have is just have like a checklist of like topics you just don't want to hear about, and then you click that, and then you go down the list, and you're like, I don't want to see that, and then save, and then hide everything, and then it'll be more applicable to whoever wants to be part of the YouTube community.
It's very interesting you mentioned that because that technically is a feature within YouTube, what you were describing there, as far as I remember. However, it's not set up in the most, let's just say, proactive of ways. In that, basically, at least in the browser, if you're on something like a Chrome or something like that, if you're actually viewing it via the browser and you see the window, the up next and the recommended videos, if you click on those little three dots, there should actually be a thing that says hide things like this or like from this particular channel. It's like, I don't want to see more of those. Kind of like the Pandora thumbs down button there. And I'm like, that is a wonderful option, but it's only for something that the algorithm itself is generating for you to see. And
Yeah.
whereas if you're just like, I don't like, I keep getting these videos from this person, I want to proactively just go and be like, I don't want to see this. They kind of don't let you do that. Now, I'm not sure if that's an integration thing within base YouTube from a long time ago, where they were trying to almost copy Pandora in a way, and they never got around to it, or if there's another reason for that. I'm sure there might be a fix, but also shout out to the Gibbler, as well as Mr. James Bloggington, as well as Tom from Pinoy News. Welcome one, welcome all. Who is Ken, Tom, or Tom? Well, you're going to have to go back and watch the video, which I know you're very busy doing other things, and I wouldn't expect you to. Why? Because it's the internet, and we get very easily distracted by things like... Exactly. But as we're wrapping up here, Ken, what would you like to see or do, or what are your hopes for 2021? Whether it's you, the world, it's an open question, man. The floor is yours.
Well, I don't want things to be closed anymore. I really don't. Um, Again, but I guess it's a safety precaution, but it's a very flawed safety precaution because people are going outside anyways. But I've known a couple people with small businesses who are struggling right now, and it kind of sucks because I used to visit them at their store, whether it be like a bar or whatever, or just like a cooking place. Uh, they were struggling for a while, uh, trying to keep open, and it sucks because like it takes away all the fun of my personality and like me wanting to go like downtown where I live and just visit place to place. Now it's just like, well, we have outdoor seating, but it's very limited because we don't have that much space. So it's very to me because of like of my career choice and like what I've done for as far as like me building myself up goes. It sucks to see that people can't do as much as they want. Like the country of the free is very limited right now for good reason. But what I want to see is that I do want to see just like go away in 2021, and then I want to see people be able to raise their independently owned companies or stores or whatever, come up to here again instead of like being down here wondering what's going on. Because imagine being one of those owners and being scared that you're going to lose your business and you're going to lose everything because of some pandemic. That sucks. And it's completely out of your control and it's nothing you could do. Because usually when businesses like that go down, um, us outside of the pandemic, it's usually like some sort of bad business decision. They weren't paying attention to any chart or whatever. They weren't paying attention to what they were selling, what wasn't selling, or anything like that. Uh, but now it's just like even the people who knew what they were doing don't know what to do half the time. Um, so yeah, I want to see smaller businesses grow again. That's what I want.
Cool. I I totally was not using this as an excuse to do a bad habit or anything like that, but it's okay. We updated the batter. Smoking is bad. Now, Ken, I want to thank you for joining us today with this just because it's like the sheer fact when I asked you, I'm like, you want to come on? I'm like, did you have any moniker you wanted to go by or something? You're like, no. I'm just like, all right, I totally need to actually do this because somebody that's not actually presenting themselves as I am this, I am that. Like there was another gentleman who I popped on his stream at one point. He wanted to do an interview. We went for like an hour or two. And it's like, how would you like to be introduced? I'm like, what's your political affiliation? I'm like, yeah, I consider myself a pathfinder. What's a pathfinder? Well, we're like Jedi. We just require more kyber crystals. And that's kind of like the moniker that, or the mimetic that I took away from what you were describing. It's like, just gonna live your life, don't harm other people, and try to be a positive influence as decent as you can within the world, just because that's how things should be. Just in my opinion, at least, it's like we should try to help each other out. Does that mean that you necessarily need to give your shirt off your back to every single person? It's like, oh, you're gonna run out of shirts real quick, and I only have one of these shirts, so I have to be very careful. But I agree, man. I really want things to get back to normal. I'm hoping by good scenario by summertime, most things will kind of be decently opened up again and everything. And if at bare minimum, I want to go to the beach. I miss the beach. The beach is freaking awesome because it has water and sand and ice cream and pizza. And I realize you can get those things at other places as well. But you know what? It's not necessarily quite as cool in a very warm way. But with that, Ken, your final words to part for this evening.
Sure. Well, let me see these comments over here. I want to go ahead and just
This is the thing, dude. I like where Streamlabs is, or excuse me, Stream Yards is going. They're literally becoming kind of like Streamlabs and everything.
well, I mean, like if people don't know who I am, then I can see Some of them do. I do remember Gibbler, but if you don't know, then you do now. So that's who I am. You guys got a basic gist of me. I post on random times. Oh, pardon me. Holy crap! But I post on random times. I don't really have a schedule. I just post whenever, or I go live whenever I just feel the need to, I suppose. And then usually I don't even have a script. I just go off of like what goes on my head, and I try to keep everything that's in my head there. And I do host StreamYards, and I do have people on freely for whoever ends up wanting to post on. But I do also keep up the videos, so it's to your discretion. So unless if you end up being one of those jackasses that ends up making an ass out of themselves, then yeah, you're welcome to be on. But like I said, be yourself, but keep it not PG, but keep your clothes on. Most of it.
That doesn't always happen, at least from what I remember from the stream the other day. But that's another story. You heard what the man said, so remember, be yourselves.
Some people are like slinkies. It's fun to push them down the stairs and watch them fall.
See, well, either that or log. It's like do 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 do. What rolls downstairs over and bears rolls over your neighbor's dog. What's great for a snack and fits on your back? It's log, log, log. It's log, log. It's big, it's heavy, it's wood. It's log, log. It's better than bad, it's good. Come on and get your log. Everyone needs a log. Come on and get your log. Everyone needs a log. Log from Blammo.
What the fuck is going on here?